Hey everybody, I want to talk about a product and platform that I absolutely love and our latest sponsor, Interseller, the prospecting and outreach platform of choice for recruiters and sellers. Whether you're doubling down on business development or recruiting talent, Interseller does all the heavy lifting of finding contact data, automating the email and follow-up process, and syncs all that rich data into 20 plus CRM and ATS platforms. Reach out now and get going on a 2-week free trial and let them know you heard about it from Adam on the podcast today. Check out the link on the website. Appreciate it.
Welcome to the podcast, where we introduce you to incredible humans who share their journeys with the mission to inspire you to harness your own inner tenacity to drive your life and career forward. And now, your host, Adam Posner.
All right, we did it. We're connected. Yeah. Leah Turner, how's it going? Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. I can just see my friends in the waiting, like in the chat, all going crazy. Sorry about that.
Oh my God. No, I love it. I love rabid fans. That's incredible. And you have built in an insanely short amount of time an incredible following and service and everything that you're doing on LinkedIn. And we're going to get to that in a second here. But before we do that, I would love if you could introduce yourself to my audience. Tell everybody kindly who you are and what you do best.
Okay, well, it's pronounced Leah, but you Americans always call me Leia, Princess Leia. I was a small business owner that just owned a little transcription company who started poking around on LinkedIn in October, the end of October last year, with 400 connections. And I hid behind my business logo because I thought this doesn't belong on LinkedIn. And I sort of emerged from behind the curtain and took a shot at just being myself and thinking, well, what's the worst that can happen? And about 2 months later, I had 10,000 followers, and now we're drawing close to 50,000. And about 3.5 months ago, I decided to harness what I'd learned in that time and start teaching other people how to be great at LinkedIn. And that's gone from strength to strength, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
That's incredible. And going back to what you said in the beginning, you were kind of hesitant or scared to come out from behind the curtain because of maybe you just felt like this outward would not translate well. Like what was your concern? Like, what was it? Did you feel like, and I don't want to get too personal, like, but what was it? Did you feel like insecure? Did you feel like you could be yourself, or you didn't understand the platform?
It wasn't insecurity. It's actually the same thing that people come to me all the time about when they come for a coaching session. They say to me, I just always think of LinkedIn as being really corporate, and that it's not a place for people that aren't corporate. And I'm not corporate. I've never worked in the corporate world. I worked building surveyors before I was self-employed, and never in sort of big companies. I didn't have to wear suits for work. I never commuted or anything like that. And I didn't earn a big salary at any point in my life. So I just sort of thought, LinkedIn is for recruiters. It's for finding jobs. It's not for people like me with little tiny businesses that look alternative, that just don't. I wouldn't go to an interview with one of those companies with my tattoos out. So I felt like it wasn't for me. But I was wrong. I was really wrong.
You were wrong because people buy from people.
And people
relate to people.
And I stand out.
And you stand out, in a good way. And if anybody's going to judge you based on your outward appearance, that's not somebody you want to do business with anyway. Fuck them. No. That's not going to be your customer. So early on in LinkedIn, you see the traction pick up, and I applaud you for that, because there's many different approaches on LinkedIn. I've been on this platform since 2006 on day one, in the beginning there, but you experienced tremendous growth. Really? Why? Awesome. How did that happen?
I don't know. Like at the beginning, I don't really know. I wasn't really posting a lot. Because I wasn't really sure what to post. The same thing that everybody says to me, I don't really know what to post. And I just watched what other people were posting and talking about. And I really got involved, commenting lots on other people's content and getting involved in conversations and getting familiar with certain crowds of people, and actually looking forward to logging onto LinkedIn and finding that I was having really lovely conversations and becoming friends with people. And I realized that LinkedIn isn't just about business opportunities and job hunting. It's actually building friendships and communities with people that support each other. And I genuinely, I'm a bit of a social media queen. I love like Instagram and Facebook. I don't deal with Twitter because just
it's a cesspool.
it really is. And it all just moves a bit too fast for me. But LinkedIn is such a supportive place. And I have met genuine friends off LinkedIn that I've now known for 6 or more months. And they're people that will go out of their way to help me and support me and encourage me. And I do the same back to them. And I'm suddenly being able to access people like me, because I've never been around other entrepreneurs, because I've been self-employed in a job where I sit at home on my own with a pair of headphones on all day. I haven't encountered a lot of other business people, and suddenly I've got a whole world of them in front of me, and they all want to know me, and I want to learn from them, and it's been life-changing.
It has been life-changing, and LinkedIn's a fantastic platform. And I want to get one thing out of the way here, right? And there is that dark side of LinkedIn, and we see it all over the place. And there's a lot of asshole creepers, garbage people on LinkedIn. And I'm only assuming here that you've gotten your fair share of trolls.
One of my biggest viral posts was because somebody was inappropriate to me.
And I'm sure you get your fair share. So I want to get this one question out of the way and move on. How do you react to that, and how do you handle it?
I don't like it. I don't want comments on my appearance on LinkedIn. I don't want messages commenting on the way I look, because that's not why I'm on LinkedIn.
Right.
Don't care if you like my tattoos or not, because I tell you what, I'm asking about your opinion when I get people all the time like, oh, I don't normally like tattoos on women, but yours are quite nice. Or I really like your ink. Like, it's nice, cool, but I don't really care, because it's mine and your opinion doesn't really matter, because whether you like it or not, it's still on me forever. So
yeah, we didn't get tattoos for other people.
Exactly. Well, right? If you do, it's stupid.
It's unless you're paying me to put a billboard on you. I mean, that's not what's happening there. And it's really a shame. Right. I mean, it's really a shame across any social media channels, right? That people just can't be good human beings, and it's fucking shitty, and it's a reflection on them. And I actually think it's great when people name and shame folks, because it's wrong and it shouldn't be happening on this platform here. And so let's get back to the good stuff. I follow you, and I do it passively, and I also do it engaging wise, and I like to see how you engage with your followers and your fans, and it's absolutely been tremendous to see there. So prior to shifting into the LinkedIn coaching and engagement, tell us a little bit about your business.
So I run a transcription business. So I work for doctors and lawyers and psychologists and all sorts of different people. Anybody who's got an audio file that they need turning into a transcript. So HR hearings, disciplinaries, interviews, so many interviews I do. And I love them. It's really diverse and it's really interesting. But obviously, I don't have as much time now to do it. So I've got this incredible assistant, Naomi, and a couple of other ladies that help me as well. And Naomi's basically been an absolute godsend. She's taking over a lot of the transcription now.
It's called scaling. It's called being an entrepreneur. It's one of the first lessons of being a business owner.
For me as well, which are really like crucial at the moment, because I'm a single mum, and I'm not a single mum. I'm an only parent. So my little boy's just about to turn 5 and start school, and of course I'm now running sort of 2 businesses effectively. They're under one umbrella, but effectively 2 separate businesses. And all of the things that go with being a parent as well, and running a household, and my bonkers little dog that's always running around.
I hear you.
Family all over the country. So it's tricky to juggle it all. It's amazing. Like, I wouldn't change it. You. But yeah, it's tough. But
it is. And so let's talk about that decision. Was it like kind of trial and error to say, hey, I'm going to take a stab at LinkedIn coaching, or did people come to you first and ask for it? Was it the chicken or the egg?
It was kind of a bit of both. So I'd had a few people say to me, oh my God, how do you get so many followers so quickly? What is it you're doing? How do you get so much engagement? And I said, I gave them some advice. I spent a bit of time on the phone, and one of them said to me, well, why don't you do this? And I thought, well, there's a few other people that do it. And actually, I know loads of what they're teaching, and I'm picking up all this stuff that I'm learning. I'm not just learning from my own posts, but I'm learning from watching what does well with other people. And I just sort of made mental notes about it all and started absorbing it, saying, well, this works really well, and this way of interacting works well, and these are the logical things that you can do to help. And I sort of wrote it all down, and I went, I could probably charge money for this. So I floated the idea with my audience, with my sort of following, and a few people said, yeah, we'd love to. So I offered one of them a free session and said, what did you think? Yeah, I said, well, what did you think? Do you think I know enough that I can charge money for this? And he said, yeah, you do. I think you need a bit more structure in it. And I said, okay, it's fine. And he gave me some constructive feedback, and I just started offering it for, it was £99. That's sort of cliche number that we all use. But then after doing about 10 sessions, I got told off by several of my coaching clients, and they said, you're not charging enough. Stop thinking about the
value prop.
Think about the product that you're giving them all this knowledge. That's worth way more than £99. So I just went, fuck it, and doubled it.
Good on you. And no one flinched, right?
No one flinched. No.
And the other piece is, just to interject quickly, right here, just to interject quickly when it comes to coaching and everything too. What you set your price for also determines how much skin in the game that the client is going to have. And I know this firsthand. I have an executive coach that is on paper extremely expensive, and he's worth every penny. At the same point, it's also accountability, knowing that I'm going to make my investment, both my time and my money, into this, and I'm going to give it my all. If he charged me freaking $50, you think I give a fuck about what I'm doing there? I wouldn't give a shit. Like, who cares? Right. But when you have genuine skin in the game, you have more of a vested interest, and you're going to take it more seriously. And
realistically, one of my coaching sessions, if someone lands one client, one lead from LinkedIn that turns into a client, they've paid it several times over. 100%. So actually, it's really not. And one of the things I pride myself on as well is that it doesn't feel like a coaching session. As far as I've been told, people enjoy it. It's like sitting down with a mate. It's all very relaxed. It's all chatty. We have a good chat about them and their lives and the inspirational things that have gone on for them, and sort of say, that's great content. All the technical stuff is included, all the stuff I know about the algorithms and hashtags and all of that. That's all included. But it's the content. It's digging into people's lives and saying, why aren't you talking about that? That's amazing. You're incredible.
So let's talk. Let's pull back the curtain a little bit, and we'll call this a free coaching session. Listen, I know what the hell I'm doing on this platform too. I can do this coaching thing, but let's talk to people about, like, I think, and this is just my take, and I'd like to see, there's a lot of loud voices on LinkedIn. I consider myself one of them. And by loud, I mean, there's a small percentage of people that are actually creating and producing content versus the people that are not. And I think some people, there's a lot of barriers to it. They don't know what to say. They overthink it. They don't know if it's going to resonate as well. They don't know how to put their own voice out there. So what's like kind of the first step you do with somebody that comes to you and is looking for coaching on how to engage, how to perform, how to do better on the platform?
The first thing I tell people is to stop thinking of it as the corporate boardroom. It's not like that. And you need to forget that, put that out of your head. There are people that will still say to you, oh, it's only for applying for jobs and talking strictly business. But those people are not getting business from LinkedIn. They're not generating leads because people just look at their content and yawn and scroll past, right? It's not interesting. If you're just sales pitch, business post, it's boring.
They're exposed to scroll over you. If you're not switching it up and keeping it fresh and engaging in edutainment, then you're going to lose them.
I try to get across the idea that, so in the UK, we talk about shopping local, which means choosing the smaller shops just down the street rather than going to the big supermarkets, the big faceless brands, right? Of course. So you kind of want to position yourself as the local shopkeeper. You are the friendly face that people want to do business with because they know where their money's going. They see the person benefiting from your business. And if you can position yourself like that on LinkedIn, so you're talking about successes, parenting wins, holidays, life experiences that have challenged you that you've got over, you're telling all these people wonderful things about how determined you are. But you're also becoming a person to them. You're not just text on a screen. You're creating a bond with those people, and they care and they want to see you succeed. And if you can bridge that gap, they're going to either want to do business with you or recommend you to people. And that's the thing. If you can be real, the good bits and the bad bits, people care. And that's it on LinkedIn. People do care. There are dickheads. Of course there are dickheads. There are dickheads on every platform in the world, but it's a reflection on themselves, not you. But making people care about you and caring back, like it's got to be two-way.
That's spot on. The engagement can't be a one-way street. It cannot be. I mean, it may be, you know, unless you're fucking Gary Vaynerchuk out there who even engages as well too, but these are people at a different level. You know, these are people at an absolutely different level. So, I mean, when it comes to the actual content, right? Yeah. What are some of those tactics and tips to help people find their voice? Find their voice, and then we're going to dig into formatting a little bit. We're not going to evolve. We're not going to, you know, give all the secrets away, because then I could take this video and turn it into my own 99-pound coaching session. Maybe I charge 150. I've
got a hungry 4-year-old to feed.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly, man. I got an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old that my 2-year-old he could eat the 8-year-old under the table. I mean, it's crazy, this big boy. So content journey starting. What are some basic 101 starter tips?
You need to find the content that you have. So one of the things that I like to recommend people do is create a mind map of who they are. And I mean, dig deep. It doesn't have to all be content. You don't have to disclose your deep, darkest secrets on LinkedIn. That is not a prerequisite for being successful.
You don't have to be too open.
No, it's about what you're comfortable with. And so if you have a mind map of who you are, and it can be everything, holidays that you've been on, food that you like to eat, quotes that inspire you, experiences that challenged you, mistakes that you've made, embarrassing situations that you had to overcome, all of those different things, they contribute to who you are right now. And that's the person that I'm going to do business with. But more than anything, we all connect with people on things that generally aren't work related.
Absolutely.
So I might not have anything in common with you when it comes to business, and our paths can't cross. But you've just said to me that you've got a small child that can eat for days. We could sit and have a whole conversation about what it's like to have a small boy that eats.
And you can give me food tips, right? Have you tried, if he doesn't like this food, have you tried that one? Do you like his hot dogs with honey or ketchup on them, right?
Let the broccoli and hide it in the pasta sauce, right?
Exactly.
But we can connect on something that's real to us, something that we're passionate about. So if you're only ever talking about business, you're not giving people the opportunity to connect with you on other things that they have in common with you. So if you allow people to know other things about you, you can get that connection established, and then you'll go on to talk about business because you've got that rapport. And it's much more natural.
Absolutely. Right. Having natural organic conversations is absolutely key. And then, I mean, let's talk a little bit about the LinkedIn algorithm, because there's two schools of thought here. I am conscious of it because I'm a content creator, right? Mm-hmm. And I want my content to do well, but at the same time, I don't overthink it, right? I'm not trying to hack the system, but if you're going to play with the rules, you got to know what the rules are, right? If you're going to play a game, you have to know what the rules are. And the algorithm changes all the time. And the algorithm, for better or worse, is really, you know, they're trying to do a good job of doing two things. They're trying to democratize and give everyone a voice, because what happens is the louder voices are heard. And that's because of the engagement. That's because of, you know, some of the bad shit out there, like the engagement pods that are moving things along there. So
we've had to chat about that before, haven't we?
No. And we're not spending the time talking about it, but we're just laying the groundwork to say why it's hard for certain people who are new to the platform to have their voices heard. Yeah. So when we talk about the platform, you know, what's some of the best ways to ensure that your voice is heard and seen?
I think the biggest thing that people overlook is how important it is to get involved in commenting, because when you've got your name and your headline there visible, every single time you comment on anything that appears in the news feeds of your connections, they're going to see so-and-so, Adam commented on this, and this is what he said, and Adam commented on this, and this is what he said, or Adam liked this. They're seeing your name, they're seeing your headline every single time you engage with somebody else. So you're getting that visibility, and they're seeing you and what you have to say without you actually having to write a post.
True.
So you don't have to be creating content. It's a lot of pressure. And I say that to the people that I coach. I say, I'm not expecting you to go out and create 5 pieces of great content every week. It's not going to happen. It's going to be like dieting, right? And I always say this to them, you'll do 3 days, you'll be absolutely starving, it'll be too much, and you'll binge on a Domino's. because you can't, it's not sustainable. So it's a gradual thing. Post a few times a week, post some good content, and go out and get involved in the conversations with other people.
Absolutely.
And you'll gradually start to think of more content when you're starting to be inspired by other people's content.
It's testing and learning too. And one piece of advice that I give and I practice all the time, I use the notes sections in my phone, because inspiration comes to me at any time, and I'll just put thought starters on there. I'll put everything from a thought starter to a fully thought out post. Yeah, I might be somewhere, right? I may not be by my computer, and I'll want to write it later. And sometimes I'll sit on that post for a couple of weeks because it's an evergreen piece of content. It's a thought, an idea. And one thing I want to say, like, listen, like, people look at my content, and I have been doing this for a long time, and I have a podcast, which we're on now. And from this show, I'm able to generate a lot of content from that, but not everybody has these tools. So that's one piece of the repertoire, which makes it very easy for me to have a content calendar and bang out content and put up the numbers and everything. But you don't need that. No. There's a couple of things tips that I give. It's very simple. If you go on your LinkedIn feed, you open it up on the PC, you can see that the top news is trending there. There's about 10 different topics there. And I guarantee you, at least one of those topics is going to be something that you have an opinion on. You might be an expert on, you might be a thought leader on, or maybe you're just like, you know what? I got something to say on this. So there's so many things out there in the universe that are content starters. And you could also get great ideas from other people's content. And I'm not talking about stealing or plagiarizing, but
no, it's
riff on it. You could be informed. You could say, hey, listen, I just saw something on Leah's post, and now I want to riff on it, right? But give credit to them. But there's so many idea starters out there.
There are tons of ideas, and there's literally content in everything that you do. I've written posts that are literally just comedy things about something. I posted something about a drawer that got stuck the other day, and it got like 25,000 views. And I was just like, literally visual representation of how my week's going, because I had a bit of a chaotic week up until this point.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what, I'm done today. And I posted that video, and it got loads of views. And okay, it's not strictly business related, but you know what? People have felt a way about it. It's given them a smile, and it's created a little bit of a conversation. And we've all had a little giggle to ourselves.
Yep.
Facebook. And I wouldn't ordinarily post things like that. And I do tend to keep it more inspirational. But sometimes you just want to chuck something that's a bit comedy out there, don't you? Because that's the kind of person I am. I'm not serious all the time.
I wouldn't think that you are. There's got to be another side there, right? You know, there's definitely multiple sides.
There really is. I'm everything you see on LinkedIn is the way I am. And of the people, there's a few people in the comments now that I have actually met in person, and they would say the same thing.
That's awesome. And I think a lot of people have that trouble. I mean, but on a serious note, right? Like, I think that it's hard for some folks to listen. It's bad advice to say that you have to go all in and be your full self, full transparency on any social media platform. I think it's important to keep certain things inside, right? Like, I rarely show my kids, sparingly here and there for the certain reasons. That's my decision. Other people are very out there with their families and their kids on LinkedIn and other social platforms. But it's about finding what A is going to resonate, and B, more importantly, how comfortable you are sharing that. Because the last thing you want to do is push yourself too far out of your comfort zone just for the sake of engagements or conversations. Do it because it feels right. Do it because it feels something naturally.
If you feel that your audience, your network, are going to benefit something really, really significant from it. Like, I've shared stories about my past to an extent. Coming from a poor family, losing my father, being an only parent, and the fact that I've managed to get myself off of the welfare checks that were helping me pay my rent as a result of the LinkedIn coaching. Like, I've shared all these stories, which are, I'm hoping, inspiring for people that might be in the situation I was in and can look at me and go, she did it, I can do it. And because there are women that I look at, especially women, but lots of other people as well. But generally speaking, I look at these women and I'm like, look at them, look at how successful they are. I want that. I can do that because they're just like me. And I want to be that for somebody else as well, like paying it forward.
I love
it. That's how I talk about that stuff, but there's a lot of stuff I do keep back. And it's, I guess, part of my problem at the moment that I'm personally struggling with is that I've started getting recognized in public. And that's something, because my profile has grown through the British lockdown, I've gone from sort of 10,000, 15,000 connections when lockdown happened to now verging on 50,000. And my content is seen by like 2 million people a month.
Yeah, it's great.
while that's great and the benefits that I'm getting are great, I've been approached a couple of times in public, and twice was with my son, and I felt very uncomfortable. And that's not to say I won't get used to it.
Right.
But
And there's two sides of it too, right? I don't think people know boundaries, right? I mean,
they feel like they know me because I talk so openly.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a delicate balance, and there's a good and bad to that, right? I mean, it's kind of cool. Like, oh, look, I'm somewhat, LinkedIn famous, right, for good reasons, but you also have to be, especially when you go into mama bear mode, right? You need to, protect your son. You don't know who these people are.
Well, this is it. And I had to take precautions, like my company is limited. So I had to start using a registered address. I'm paying to use a different address because it would otherwise be linked, publicly available to where I live. And I had to remove my phone number from my business website, which was always there, because I started getting inappropriate phone calls and messages. And while it's all very fun, there are certain things that I now have to take into consideration, being a woman alone with a child, for our own safety, because the overwhelming majority of people on LinkedIn are wonderful people, but there have been a few situations where I've had to and
that's just a shame, and we don't wish on anybody. Leah, who do you look up to? What women, whether they be famous or whether we won't know them at all, who do you look up to? Who inspires you?
At the moment, it's actually women that I do know, and they've rallied around me to support me and say, you can do this, because I've never realized that I'm a natural entrepreneur until I started coming on LinkedIn. So Alice Stevenson, who founded a law firm 3 years ago, and she's only 38. She's got 3 kids and a wonderful husband, and she just upped and moved to Amsterdam during lockdown, and just because she wanted to. And she's running a very, very, very successful tech law firm. And I look at her and I think, wow, she's goals. There's also Claire Muscat, who is a global keynote speaker on customer experience. She is there. And there's also a lady called Claire Russell, who has, if you've not heard her story, she's done TED Talks, and she has lived through so much. And she is an incredible woman, that she's survived it and she's still fighting, and she's incredibly successful as well. Awesome. And I just look at those women and I think, obviously I should be saying the standard. My mum is very inspiring. She's an incredibly strong woman, but she's not a career woman. So when it comes to career, those 3 women are like my goals, and they're women I talk to regularly. So I'm going to
link them up too if anybody wants to check them out. Leah, what's been the toughest? It's a 2-part question. The toughest struggle that you've had in your entrepreneurship journey, and what did you learn from that and move forward?
Oh my gosh.
I said this is going to be easy. I've been doing this for a while.
I think recently it's been trying to navigate starting a new business, maintaining the old business during lockdown with a 4-year-old at home and no access to any other childcare because the schools were shut. So that's probably been my biggest struggle. And then having Naomi on side has now made that more possible, and having so many wonderful clients that are paying me and trusting me with and giving me all these opportunities. That's made it all possible. But yeah, definitely. I had to run my business, my typing business, with a newborn baby all on my own from the beginning. So I've but a 4-year-old is a whole different kettle of fish. They need constant entertainment. So that has, oh my God, they're utterly exhausting. And of course, when you're transcribing, you need your headphones on and you need to sit and concentrate for long periods. You can't with a 4-year-old around. So I was working at night and I'm so tired that I can't focus, because
you don't want them just stuck on the iPad all day or the telly. You don't want any of that, right? You want to be engaged.
I did have to give in to that a bit, but it was
time and place, right?
Yeah, I don't have family nearby, and even if I had, they'd be shielding and we couldn't mingle with them. So it was just me and him, and we just had to get on with it.
We got through it, and hopefully we're coming out on the other side. What's going on in the UK over there? What's the climate?
Well, where I live is on the verge of going back into a local lockdown. But we're basically just wearing masks in public places, public transport. We're all right outdoors. Schools are starting to come back now. So it's a lot better than it is in America from the sounds of it.
I mean, listen, our schools are opening up next week. I'm in suburban. You been to New York?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not too far from JFK Airport. I mean, we could get all meta here. I'm on the South Street. You can see the painting in my co-working
Yeah.
space. I'm like right by the beach here, which is great.
Nice.
Um, our schools are opening up next week, and my daughter's 8. She's going into 3rd grade, and the numbers are really low. And they're going back to a hybrid model where they're going to be in every other day. They're splitting the classes in half to have more room there, but it's stressful and it's scary. But I also believe that we need to move forward. And we need to get on with our lives. And listen, this virus isn't going away anytime soon. And we have to figure it out. And we're all in it together. And I'm confident, vaccine, all that kind of shit. We'll get past this. This is going to be a blip on the radar. And hopefully our kids won't remember it. And if they do, they'll understand that it was a time that maybe mommy and daddy spent a little bit more time with us, and they'll appreciate it, which leads me to something that I love to talk about, Leah, which is silver linings. And silver linings are incredible, right? They usually come at times when things don't look so good on the outside, but there's so many amazing things that come out of it. So I would love if you could share a professional silver lining and a personal silver lining that you've experienced over the last 6 months.
Professionally, it's after 9 years of working on my own at home, isolated from the sort of working world and other people, COVID has made me realize that I need to get back out into the world, because when lockdown happened, I was like, well, it doesn't really feel that much different other than my son is at home. I'm just at home all day, and I'm at home all day anyway. And it made me realize that at my age now, I want to be back out into the world and meeting people, because LinkedIn's made me realize how much I enjoy socializing and interacting with people, but not just online. I want to do it face to face. I thrive on that.
Awesome.
So that has really opened. And so obviously starting the coaching has led to doing some in-house coaching. I'm doing group coaching in businesses as well. So that's leading me into a whole different career that's going to get me back out into the world of people.
You're passionate. I hear it in your voice that you're excited about what you are doing.
I really am. I've discovered a passion for something, and I've discovered a side of myself that I'd never really embraced.
Leah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And that's a spark. And like maybe, right. And it's each person's different in their own life journey and their own career journey. For me, it was at 35. That's when I realized that I hated what I was doing and I needed to change careers and pivot. And then it wasn't until, 2 years ago when I launched the show that it brought out this whole other passion of mine of broadcasting and doing this podcasting. And I applaud you for that. Being an only parent, I mean, I can't imagine, because there's 2 of us and there's 2 kids, and it's insane with 2 of us. And I could only relate when I'm stuck with both kids by myself for short periods of time. What is your secret trick to being a great mom?
I don't know. My son, I'm very lucky. My little boy is exceptionally well behaved. He just always has been. I think the biggest key, and I was talking about this with my friend earlier, is I don't have to discipline him very often, because when I do discipline him, I am thorough, I am tough on him, and I don't back down. And so he knows when I put my foot down, that's it. And I don't mean I spank him or anything like that. He just knows that he's done wrong, and he goes to his room and he doesn't get his TV and he doesn't get his favorite snacks. It's all like, that's it. You've overstepped the mark. And I hate doing it. We all hate doing it.
Of course.
But I don't have to do it very often.
Discipline's the hardest part. And, first, again, thank you for joining. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for welcoming me into your tribe, and vice versa, introducing you to my audience. I mean, I applaud you for everything that you've been doing. I watch, right? And I see the success in a good way, not in a creepy way, in a good way. And it's just amazing to see people find their voices and find their stride and find their passion and just build. And I see the comments in your feed, and everyone's engaged and they give a crap about each other and they're helping. And you're a tribe leader. You've built a tribe and you've built a community. And that's something you should really be proud of. You should be truly proud of your success and everything that you have done. You are doing it the right way. You're doing it with an open heart, and you're being empathetic. And I applaud you for that.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And last but not least, right? Like you said it before, you've been in some dark places. You've been in some bad places in your life, and you've had to pull yourself up, and you have to find the strength. And in everything that you do, and in business and being a mom and everything, what is your North Star?
My son. Obviously. He's the reason for everything.
I love it.
I get all teary.
I love it. And I'm going to throw a curveball here. Last but not least.
Okay.
Tell us a funny joke.
Oh, you can't do that.
No, I'm not. I hate that joke. It's a stupid fucking question. We're going to go off it. Last but not least, give all of us here the best piece of advice you've ever received that you take action on every single day of your life.
Don't be afraid to fuck up.
Amen.
I think that's my biggest asset, is that I'm not afraid to try and go wrong, because at least I tried. Because you'll never win if you don't try.
I love it.
Yeah.
And Leah Turner, where could folks find you? Where could they connect with you? Where could they learn more?
I'm on, obviously, all over LinkedIn. So Leah Turner. You can find me on Instagram, Leah_Turner_. And my website is stereo-type.co.uk. So any of those. But, be prepared for lots of rude memes on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not quite PC on Instagram as I am.
I'm gonna have to follow you. I'll follow you from my professional account, because why not? It actually doesn't really matter. It's funny too. I've been playing around this week with Giphies, and I've been putting out one a week, and I'm trying this new content series called The Face I Make. I don't know if you've seen me do this over the last couple of days, but I am using it as an expression of things that I hate on the platform to kind of poke fun at it. And it's so crazy because we talked about it earlier. People love to laugh. They love to be, and the engagement levels on literally, I had a post of, what was it? It was, you ever see the movie Office Space?
Yeah.
It was a scene from Office Space with like one of the nerdy guys, and he's making like this sarcastic kind of eye roll face, literally crushing the numbers if we look at it, versus literally a podcast I did with the global head of people from McDonald's, and the meme face crushed it. And I'm like, what? Like it doesn't even make sense sometimes.
Ever was about me not realizing that I've been watering an artificial plant, and
it stays so green. I must be doing something right.
Like 750,000 people saw it.
That's amazing. Leah Turner, thank you so much for hanging with us today. Hang with me for one moment as I sign off my show today. I want to chat for a quick second here. Everybody new to the podcast over across the pond there. I see a bunch of you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm looking forward to connecting with you in my tribe. Definitely check out the podcast if you have not. Yeah, we're coming up on a holiday week here. So I'm actually taking this week off from putting out a new show, but there will be a fresh piece of content up on the site, the podcast, over the weekend. It's going to be the audio version of my conversation from about a month back with my man Marcus Glover about racism in America. Real serious fucking shit we got into on that show, the opposite of this conversation right here, but it's important. That'll be up, and then we'll be back with the final stretch going into episode 100 of the show. I got episode 98 with Jeff Wald talking about the future of work, followed by episode 99 with the former governor of the state of New York, David Patterson, and working on episode 100. Who's it going to be? It's going to be a big one. Everyone in the U.S., have a great holiday week. Take care of each other. Everyone across the world, wash your hands, keep 6 feet apart, wear your face mask, look out for your fellow men and women, and be good. And catch us next week for another great episode of the podcast. Take care, everybody.
To join the conversation, search the podcast on LinkedIn. And to catch up on past episodes and more info, please visit www.thepodcast.com.